Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel, I hope you're all doing well. It's Tuesday and I would totally understand if you told me, Beppe, no, I am not doing well. Beppe, I am worried. We are worried. And I would totally understand it, because if you're looking at the 360-degree situation of Juventus, looks like a never-ending crisis that we are in. And the problem is never-ending crisis not only on one specific topic, let's say the field. No, different topics. The field, it's easy. We know it. 1 point in the last 3 games, 1 on 9. Historical loss. The how it came versus Napoli, 5-1. 3-3 versus Atalanta, that none of us is happy about because it's a draw. Well, but at least if there we could say at least we tried, we showed some things. We really wanted to win that game. We missed a goal that could have brought us to a 4-3. Probably we even deserved to win. Well, these certainties of Juventus fighting back on the field were totally gone versus Monza. Monza, you can't even link it with the morale. You can partially, but not entirely, link it to the morale of these minus 15 points taken away from Juve. Because we lost in the beginning of the season, we lost after this minus 15 in the last game that we played in Serie A. Well, Monza 0-6 versus a new promoted team. Total disaster, and on top of that, total disgusting performance. We totally flopped the initial choices. We totally flopped the way of playing. Total disaster. The field. Then you're speaking about injuries. Well, our most informed striker, the number 14 from Poland, is out 4 or even maybe 6 weeks out. That's a total disaster because he was the most informed one. Vlahovic is coming back, but he's not at 100%. Moiskin is Moiskin, a good player from the bench, a good player that can be a rotational player, but he needs like 5 or 10 attempts before scoring a goal. Not only the injuries and the field, but also the minus 15. The minus 15 that yesterday explains the motives why. But this is worrying. Yesterday I made a video about it. Go back and watch it because I explain more in detail the why the 15 were deducted to Juve. But we are still here today on the 31st of January, not really understanding why. How did they calculate the 15 points? We don't know. Why? Because they don't explain it. In the 36 pages, they don't explain the algorithm, how they take away 15 points. We don't know. We will never know. We are doubting if Juventus was treated fairly. We are not trusting at the moment the Italian sporting justice. I don't know. I am quite pessimist, if I'm really honest about that situation. I will come back on it at the end of the video. Then, if you add on top of that today is the last day of Mercato, and Mercato in January we call it Mercato di Riparazione, a Mercato to fix some things. Well, there are a lot of things to fix in Juventus, but none of them will be fixed with Mercato. You can do it maybe with Next Gen, we can do it with changing formation, but not with Mercato, because Juventus will do zero Mercato. There is no song Mercato is crazy. Well, it's partially true, because we are doing Mercato, but out, not in. One of the players that is leaving is Weston McKennie. We know it, Weston McKennie is a player that gave it best with Pirlo, tried and started to improve with Max Allegri before his injury, a player that had difficulties to combine the technical aspect and the tactical aspect. When he had to do both, he was a bit lost, a player that probably was not at the level of the Juventus that we are expecting. And because of Miretti, Fagioli, the return of Pogba became the 7th choice in the midfield. Though I totally understand that he wanted to have more playing time in his initial role somewhere else, I totally understand Juventus that could potentially have a plusvalenza, because plusvalenza is not a bad word. It's not negative. It's the ability to make profit on the player. Because yes, Juventus made from Weston McKennie who he is today. That means a name that has some appeal, because when he was at Schalke 04, who knew about Weston McKennie, Texas boy? Who knew about his celebration a la Harry Potter? Nobody knew. Juventus gave him a name, gave him the opportunity to play with USA, to be a person that is respected in the football world today, so Juventus could potentially go to win 40 million euro, or at least to sell him for 40 million euro if Leeds, they take the option to sign him at the end of the season. The loan will not bring us a lot of money, we will save part of his salary, but will bring us in total bonuses inserted 1.5 million. It's not a lot, but the opportunity to go at the end of the season with a 40 million euro for Juventus for a player that probably is not one of the starters of next season. Why not? I believe it's a really good, a good negotiation there. Unfortunately, we couldn't cash in immediately. Is it over? No. There is also another name that could go out. It is Marley Ake, that Juventus is judging too strong maybe for a third division in Serie C, but not ready for a Serie A team like Juventus, especially not in this moment. Looking at players like Sule, for example, and so on and so on. He could go to Benevento. I still need to understand, because some voices are saying that he said no. Some voices are saying that he will join Benevento on loan until the end of the season. One thing is sure, Juventus wants to give him minutes in his legs. One that could potentially enter, and that's the only name, forget about all the other ones, Hulm and so on and so on, the only one potentially that could enter Juventus is Rick Karsdorp, but only if it's a dry loan without Roma having any request. That means no obligation to buy, not going excessively with paying Karsdorp and so on and so on. So if there is a possibility to have him for nothing at Juventus, why not? How am I judging that? Rick Karsdorp is not a player that I like. Let's be honest about that. It's not the player that will solve our right side of the field in terms of, wow, fantastic, what a player we have. But it's true that on the right side, if you're looking at the last game, even without Weston McKennie that went away with the shield that is absolutely not ready to play there, with a Quadrado that we have big question mark, well, if we have one more man, why not? Even if, again, I'm really dubious that it will happen, and I'm not 100% convinced. Milik is out. We already spoke about it. Unfortunately, will we go to replace him? Absolutely not. So who are we counting on top of that attack? It's Vlahovic, hopefully back as soon as possible at 100%, and Moiskin. If not, well, there are some players from the U team like Compagnon. Guys, it is what it is. Corriere dello Sport is speaking about something else. They're speaking about Juve un sistema. These are the motifs, because Juventus was not punished for the plusvalenza, because you know it, plusvalenza profit, there are no rules, there are no laws, but they did an illicit because they created a system. They repeatedly did it. That's what the words of Corriere dello Sport is saying, but they are also saying that the club said the decisions were absolutely without any motif. Illogical decision. Gazzetta dello Sport is speaking about Strappo di Leao that is not happy anymore at Milan. Well, attenzione, because another talent that could potentially go to Premier League. We go back to Corriere dello Sport. I forgot to tell you that Zaniolo, disgusting behavior from some fans that were actually really treating him and chasing him. He had to leave Roma to go to the city where he's coming from, Spezia. Total disaster. Even if and Roma and Zaniolo and Mourinho were absolutely not managing that situation well, but totally disaster. How people can have in mind to chase people, to threat him, I will never understand. Gazzetta dello Sport is also speaking about really serious illicit from Juventus. Again, word illicit means you are breaking the law or rule. When there is no rule, I totally don't understand it. Tutto Sport is saying, and this is what they called motivations. Ironic, sarcastic title of Tutto Sport, because indeed, I still don't understand. There are a lot of questions that I have. Juventus was actually accused of breaking the Article 31 law, and you go out with being punished for breaking Article 4. What is Article 4? It's actually the fair play, the loyalty of respecting the rules. This is what Juventus has been punished for, the Swiss knife of the Italian justice, because you can put whatever you want to. If you want to know a bit more about Article 4, go back on the video of yesterday. Total disaster. There are a lot of people, not Juventini, that were speaking and explaining a bit. They said, look, the wire tapes, you know, the phone calls and so on, they can't be used as they did. If you really want to use them, they can be presented in court, but some technical expert needs to explain them, which absolutely didn't happen. So you see, in a few weeks, Juventus was punished for really strange things with the Italian justice of sport. That is totally strange. I'm really curious how they will come back on that. What is my opinion, guys? I am worried, because I saw what happened in 2006. Also there, Juventus was sent in second division. In the general mind of people, even now in 2023, they will tell you Juventus was sent in second division because of alternating sporting results, because of match fixing, where none match fixing more proven. It's like Scommessopoli when Antonio Conte was actually found guilty of match fixing with his other team as a coach, not with Juventus, but he was punished when he was at Juventus. It was really strange because there is absolutely no evidence that Antonio Conte knew about this match fixing, but what was the reason to punish for 4 months? They were asking for 10 months. Antonio Conte, when he was a coach of Juve, what was the reason that they said? They said Antonio Conte could not be not aware of the situation. This is actually why they punished Juventus, because Antonio Conte was our coach and he had to be 4 months in the stands, not being able to be on the field. Why? Strangely, because Juventus started to win again Serie A. Really strange, you know? And that's why I'm scared. Scommessopoli, now with the minus 15 points, I'm really worried. I tell you the truth, I am worried. If I really go with facts, the minus 15 points, in 1 week, in 2 weeks, we have them back. But the dirt on the name will never be cancelled. And then also the fact that I saw a lot of disgusting, not logical things. And I'm happy that Juventus used the word not logical explanation, and we will fight back. So I'm hoping that Juventus this time will really fight like they are showing us on paper. I hope they will do, because we need it. What about the game versus Lazio? I have some doubts. Of course, we will count on Locatelli that played much better than Paredes. Paredes flopped. Paredes will not play versus Lazio. Locatelli will start there, but then I was thinking that maybe it's time to see Vlahovic and Pogba. Why? Because it's a Coppa Italia game, in or out, 90 minutes that can potentially go to 120. Well, if you're putting Pogba and Vlahovic from the start, you know how many minutes they can play, you know, and you can monitor when they are dropping out. So after 45 minutes, you can already take off a player. After 50 minutes, after 55, maybe after 60. If you put them in at the 60th minute, well, if you go to the extra time, total disaster, because these players could be totally without energy in extra time. So that's why I'm thinking maybe or Pogba or Vlahovic, or maybe both of them from the start of the game, could be potentially something concrete. Let's speak about that in the coming games. We are Tuesday. Tomorrow we go with a pre-game of Lazio. Curious about all your opinions about today's video. We spoke about a lot of things. Of course, I tell you, I am worried about the justice. I am worried about the 360 degree of Juve. I tell you the truth, I'm a bit worried as well. Still trustful, trying to find my motivation. You see, today I'm totally full cover. This is when I'm not feeling that great, I cover myself. And then hopefully to this afternoon I go with another video without it and more energy. Andiamo ragazzi, grazie, forza, Juve.